Imagine a world without tomatoes. No bubbling red sauces. No mozzarella stretching endlessly. No Italian trattorias glowing with candlelight. Now imagine lasagna. Because long before it became the rich, comforting dish we know today, lasagna was something else entirely. Older. Stranger. More ancient than most people ever realize. This is not a story that begins in Italy as we know it. It begins in antiquity, in dust, fire, grain, and human survival. The first problem humanity had to solve, grain. Thousands of years ago, humans faced a fundamental question: how do you turn grain into something edible, portable, and filling? Early civilizations discovered that grinding grain into flour and mixing it with water created dough. Dough could be shaped, dried, cooked. And once humans discovered fire and flat stones, everything changed. Flat sheets of dough were placed on hot stones or baked in primitive ovens. These early flatbreads were not bread as we know it. They were tools for survival. And one of those flat dough sheets would eventually evolve into something remarkable. Ancient Greece, the word is born. The word lasagna does not come from Italy. It comes from ancient Greece. The Greeks used the word laganon. Laganon referred to flat sheets of dough, cut into strips, cooked, and sometimes layered. Not with cheese. Not with meat sauce. But with olive oil, herbs, and simple broths. Laganon was not luxury food. It was practical food. It could be made in bulk. It could feed many people. It could last. And as Greek culture spread through trade, war, and colonization, so did laganon. Rome takes everything, including pasta. When Rome absorbed Greek culture, it absorbed Greek food traditions as well. Romans were obsessive record keepers. They wrote about food. They catalogued recipes. And in Roman texts, something very familiar appears. The Roman dish laganum was made from sheets of dough. Sometimes layered, sometimes baked, often served with garum, herbs, or simple meat juices. Still no tomatoes. Still no cheese layers. But the idea of layering dough had arrived. The Roman oven changes everything. Romans perfected stone ovens. These ovens allowed food to cook evenly, slowly, deeply. With ovens, something new became possible: structured layered dishes. Romans began stacking layers of dough with fillings in between. Vegetables, meat scraps, herbs. This was not fine dining. This was engineering. Food engineered to feed armies. The fall of Rome, lasagna survives. When Rome fell, much of its culture collapsed. Roads decayed. Cities entered. Trade slowed. But food knowledge did not disappear. Monasteries preserved recipes. Peasant kitchens preserved techniques. And the layered dough dish lived on, quietly. In medieval Italy, cooks layered pasta sheets with cheese, vegetables, and sometimes meat. Not because it was fashionable. Because it worked. Cheese enters the story. Cheese was a preservation technology. Milk spoiled quickly. Cheese did not. Layering cheese between pasta sheets added calories, protein, longevity, and flavor, though flavor was secondary. Early lasagna used cheeses like ricotta-style curds or aged hard cheeses. Soft, salty, functional. Tomatoes do not exist, yet. This is crucial. For over 1,500 years, lasagna existed without tomato sauce. Tomatoes came from the Americas. Europe would not see them until the 16th century. So medieval lasagna was pale, creamy, earthy, more like a savory baked pasta cake. The Renaissance refines lasagna. The Renaissance changed everything. Food became art. Presentation mattered. Layering became intentional. Lasagna transformed from survival food into culinary expression. Cooks began perfecting even pasta thickness. Balanced layering. Baking times. Lasagna became structured, elegant, deliberate. The tomato revolution. When tomatoes arrived, Europe feared them. They were called poison apples, associated with death. It took centuries before Italians accepted them. But when they did, lasagna changed forever. Tomatoes added acidity, color, moisture. Suddenly lasagna became bold. Lasagna becomes identity. By the late medieval and early modern period, lasagna was no longer just food. It was regional identity. Different regions layered differently. Different cheeses, different meats, different sauces. But the core idea remained unchanged: layers. Structure, heat, time. What lasagna really is. Lasagna is not just pasta. It is ancient engineering, cultural memory, a record of survival. It survived empires. It survived famine. It survived ignorance. It evolved slowly because it didn't need to change fast. Lasagna is history baked, and every layer tells a story.